Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to Proverbs chapter 30. The words of a man who is the stupidest man alive. But humble, yet striking, was from Augur. Humble because he speaks to the fact that he is just tired and worn out trying to figure out the greatness of the infinite God, realizing it's all coming from his own revelation of God, of course. How we need that kind of humble approach to our Lord nowadays. Just like what he says afterwards, which is the prayer. The only prayer in Proverbs. Interesting, simple, and powerful prayer. Again, very humbling for the Mr. Augur. And it's from this prayer that he'll then give us a bit of knowledge. So what is this simple and powerful prayer? I'm glad you asked. Let's look at it and see. Two things I ask of you. Deny them not to me before I die. He goes from simply asking to, in a sense, begging almost, right? Deny them not to me. And all this before I die, there's a necessity to it, a supplication to it. He's not just asking, he's pleading God. Actually, even the word deny here speaks of necessity, of I have to have this. There's a need to it, a basic need. We'll take note of that. Put it in our pocket. We'll make sense of it very quickly. But so, what is he begging God for? Because we should be begging for the same thing, right? Remove far from me falsehood and lying. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with the food that is needful for me. So there's two prayers. The first one is all about this falsehood and lying, something God really hates. We found out in Proverbs, right? It's part of the 7 things God hates over and over again. Here's Augur saying, please then remove it. Cast it far from me. I don't think this is just about keeping lying people away from him, but also from his own heart. Consider where he's going to go with this. I think this is also, and maybe more, about lying and falsehood that could be in his own heart. And God keeping him from that kind of evil. That kind of destructive, duplicitous way of behaving. And again, I'll show you more as we move along, but here's his good prayer. Here's the second part of it. He wants what is necessary. Again, this side of needful, just looking for the necessary. And this, when I say, doesn't this remind you of Jesus teaching us to pray, give us this day our daily bread? Needful, necessity, exactly what you want. This is inspired. And hundreds of years before Jesus will come and tell us, you should pray like this. You should pray with the simple neediness of a day-to-day need. Here's he saying, I don't want riches. I don't want to have a great bank account. I don't have enough to make sure that I'll be okay for my retirement. Give me what I need. What I need now. What a brave, bold, and yet such necessary prayers. We'll be so focused on the things we think we'll need, the things we think that needs to be part of our lives, instead of today, right now. And what's my actual need, Lord? Give it to me. You know when Jesus says that we should come, knock, and ask, and all that? And he, the good Father, will give us the bread if we ask. We tend to think that it's all about asking God specific things and getting specific things, but no, it's actually trusting the Father and saying, I need provision. And trusting that he'll give us what we need. Like Augur is asking here. Like Jesus teaches us later on. This may not be wiser than he seems. But why would he ask that though? He's going to explain. Least, or because, I be full and deny you. And say, who is the Lord? Or least, I be poor and steal and profane the name of my God. So this first reason is he recognizing the evil of his heart. Here's another reason why I think this falsehood and lying is speaking of his own heart. Because he knows his evil heart in fullness and having enough would deny or forget the Lord. And here we get the second part. This new word deny, not the same as before technically, actually speaks of falsehood, lying, lying about the Lord by saying, who is he? In other words, who provided this? Not God. That's the kind of notion. That's why it's the idea of he almost forgetting God exists, being a practical atheist. Again, it's all about his heart. But he also recognizes that if he doesn't have enough, he might be tempted to steal, to take by force, which is also a sin. Now, please don't miss how both of them is focused on the Lord. That's what he's afraid of. That's why David, in that amazing psalm of repentance, Psalm 51, says, I have sinned against you and you alone, O Lord. Not that he didn't sin against Bathsheba and have Uriah killed, which is a sin, but he recognized that all sin is against the holy and great God who is the creator and maker of all things and absolutely holy. Agur has the right mind, right kind of focus that we need too. It's not about what he needs, it's what he really wants, and that's God. God to be honored and God to care for him as he sees fit, so he will be glorified. And nothing will go against him. Oh, have that mindset. Well, he's going to help us do that. See, from this prayer, he's going to give us a bit of wisdom. He's going to throw at us a lot of basic dangerous evils. There you go. Basic dangerous evils. I've grouped them all together and you'll understand why. There's one theme here. And I want to show it to you. He said, first, I didn't group them together. My mistake. Do not slander a servant to his master, lest he curse you and you be held guilty. So he starts with this notion of you speaking ill of somebody's servant and it turn against you. Instead of cursing you means the master doesn't believe you and instead he sees you as the guilty party. Because this word slander really speaks of speaking ill in an effort to really harm somebody. Really speaking in a way that they be guilty, if you will. A criminal, almost. But instead of turning against you, saying, no, you're the lying, trying to make people lying in a way that makes you guilty. Especially in court, if you lied in a court situation, especially when there was capital punishment, you can end up dying instead. So it's a very serious thing. It really speaks therefore to humility here, or the danger of pride. Right? This pride that says, I'm going to go speak ill of the people to their master because that's just a servant. And it turned against you. The master says, no, you are the bad guy. Think of that. He does continue and say, there are those who curse their fathers and do not bless their mothers. So we went from the slander to now treating your own parents wrongly, which goes against the very commandments of God, right? Honor your father and mother. Something Jesus even comes back to with the Pharisees, how they had changed the law of God with the whole Korban thing. And Jesus says that's the very commandment of God to honor your parents. And you're saying they don't have to. And here's Agur saying again, what evil is that? What prideful, arrogant behavior that would curse out your parents and not bless your mother? Just contrasting one with the other, but he's saying the same thing in two different ways. Which is like the one before. There's a real negative, evil twist to what you're doing here. Which is, if you remember what he was praying, not to do himself. So you can't see the connection. Here's another one for you. There are those who are clean in their own eyes, but are not washed of their filth. Now, what filthy literally is excrement. And that's disgusting. They think that they are spiritually cleansed, just like the Pharisees in Jesus' day. Wash their hands and have all these methodical ways of being cleansed, but inside, their hearts were so evil. They were whitewashed tombs with dead men bones inside. Even says later on to the crowd, it's not what goes inside that actually soils you. These are things, it's inside of you that actually soils you. Your own heart. You think you're clean because you're following the right rules, but you forget that your own heart is very evil. Again, what pride, what arrogance. To think that because you are following the right exterior rules and just the right way, that your heart's not filled with filth and disgustingness. Here's another prideful, arrogant attitude. There are how lofty are their eyes, how high their eyelids lift. This is basically pride, right? They really think they're better than everybody else, that they're superior to all else. Their eyes are lifted up. I won't even look at you. Just like having our nose lifted up, as we say. We can really see this line of pride and sinfulness that comes out of it. Compared to the humble man who says, I'm an idiot, and all I'm saying is, Lord, just give me what I need. I hope you're making the contrast here. Here's the last one. See, Augur loves these lists of threes and sometimes fours. Here's the fourth one. There are those whose teeth are swords, whose fangs are knives, to devour the poor from off the earth, the needy from among mankind. With their words, they're trying to take from the poor. Again, maybe from the slander that we saw before. Through their dealings and stuff, they're trying to take advantage of the weaker people, which is one of the biggest sin that God keeps rebuking Israel about over and over again through his prophets. Idolatry is one, but another one is this, mistreating the poor, which goes against the very law of God. Because God said again and again and again, care for the weak, care for the poor, don't take advantage of them. Or I, God, will take advantage, will take you out. Like he says here in Micah. And I said, hear, you heads of Jacob's and rulers of the house of Israel, is it not for you to know justice? You who hate the good and love the evil, who tear the skin from my people and their flesh from their bones, who eat the flesh of my people and flay their skin from off them, and break their bones in pieces, and chop them up like meat in a pot, like flesh in a cauldron? What a vivid image that goes well with that last verse we just saw, right? With their words, they're like knives and trying to rip people to shreds. That's what they did. And that's something God was very much against. That's what pride does. It abandons us to sin. Abandons us to all these kinds of evil. He just gave, 3 or 4 examples. He just spoke of these types of people who in their pride just let themselves go. And he says, that's bad. And that's why, again, he prayed in very big humility, just provide me the daily bread. Keep me faithful today. Keep me needy of you in my spiritual walk and in my physical life. May that be our prayer. Day in and day out, may we not become presumptuous and believe that we're okay. I don't have a problem with sins. I got the big sins taken care of. I'm okay. Oh no, let us be needy of God to deliver us from the evil one every day, just like we need our daily bread as well. And we have that kind of prayer as Augur did. And we realize the danger, the evil of these great prideful demonstration of sin. On that note, be blessed.